So, welcome back to Federal Friday. For this case, we are going back to New Mexico. Now, I know I've been to New Mexico, but that was like Albuquerque, and I may have been there from what I think like 3 times. But we're not going to Albuquerque for this one. We are actually going to Las Cruces. This case was actually pretty well known. If you ask around the area, apparently, even though this was like 22 years ago, people still remember the case of Baby Brianna, and rightfully so. And so, and apparently there's like rightfully so, there's still outrage over the case. And so, yeah, and you'll understand why when I get discussing what at least what we publicly know about what happened with Baby Brianna. And so with that being said, I'm gonna quit my rambling. Always give your thoughts down below, and let's go and get started. So Brianna Mariah Lopez was born on Valentine's Day 2012 to her mother Stephanie and her father Andrew. And Stephanie was born in 1983. Her dad was born in 1981. And so at the time that Stephanie is born, she's brought back to a trailer where apparently it is Stephanie, Andrew. Stephanie has a twin, her twin brother named Steven, so Brianna's uncle, an unnamed 18-year-old, because obviously they're a minor, so they're not going to be listed legally for their name. Okay, because the 18-month-old is not the victim here. Apparently Andrew has a brother named Robert who's staying there, and then his parents. So basically, his mom and her partner. So Brianna pretty much was suffering abuse ever since she pretty much came into this world. Like as soon as she got home to this trailer, the short life that she had was pretty much just hell on earth. And so apparently she was getting punched, kicked, slapped, thrown, all sorts of shit. And then Uncle Steve, remember Stephanie's twin brother, apparently he would also occasionally rape her. And then of course, as babies do, babies cry. And whenever she would cry, apparently they would just stuff something in her mouth to basically muffle her screams. And so Brianna would suffer bleeding in the brain multiple times. So, that's a pretty serious injury, especially for a whole ass newborn. Okay. She would have broken arms, legs, and ribs, because I said she was getting thrown around and punched and shit. And she also had lacerations on her fingers, vagina, and anus. And keep in mind, she's like literally a baby. Like she's literally like 3-4 months old. Okay. And so on the fateful day of July 18th, 2002, Andrew, her father, apparently goes to the store to go get some beer, and then Stephanie, Andrew, and Steve are all there. They're getting drunk. Stephanie claims after a couple beers that she went to bed, and so Andrew and Steve, they're just throwing Brianna up in the air, and they're throwing her up to the point to where she hits the ceiling, and they just watch her fall back down. And so obviously she's gonna cry because that's like a lot of pain for anybody, especially a baby. And Stephanie let her claim that she didn't hear any of the crying. So the next day, apparently, so July 19th, Stephanie apparently wakes up, sees the bruises that are obviously beat on Baby Brianna, and she asks, like, what the hell happened to my child? And so Andrew and Steve were like, oh, we're just throwing her around, got too rough, and accidentally dropped her. That's what they say the bruises are from. So then, obviously, Brianna, she's a baby, she's wearing diapers, she needs her diaper changed. So Stephanie decides, oh, I'm gonna go change this baby's diaper, because that's what you do as a mother. Andrew, the father, is like, oh no, I'm gonna change it. So then I guess Stephanie just like lets him. So then, unfortunately, Andrew would take a baby wipe, wrap it around his finger, and put it in Brianna's anus, and then also apparently sodomized her with other objects. So then apparently, Brianna is unresponsive, and Stephanie apparently waited several hours before she calls the police. Police are eventually called. They get medical help for Brianna. Unfortunately, she is rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately, of course, Brianna dies. Right? At only 4 months old. So then Stephanie is saying that she fell off a high chair and that's how she got her injuries. And so apparently Stephanie, after Brianna had died, she had asked if she was allowed to hold the body, which I guess they didn't suspect that she was involved in like any foul play with her daughter yet. So they allowed her to do it, and she apparently was repeatedly apologizing to Brianna and apparently asked the morgue or somebody if it was possible to cover the bruises with makeup on Brianna. And apparently they did it without except the eyes. So then after Brianna was declared dead, apparently a nurse had saw that her anus was dilated to 1 inch and that there were 3 small injuries to her hymen. So basically showing obvious signs of rape. So then of course Stephen, the uncle, apparently he gets questioned and he admits that I started doing a sexual act on Brianna. Didn't specify what the sexual act was, he just said a sexual act. After he had already drank several beers. But apparently, right before he did it, he stopped because he realized it was wrong. That's his story, okay? So Andrew is charged with child abuse resulting in death and sexual penetration of a minor. And then Stephanie and Steve, they are charged with just the child abuse resulting in death. And then the other 3 adults that were living in the house, they weren't charged with anything because, they couldn't find any proof of them abusing Brianna. And then the other 2 kids that were living there, they also got put in state care. So then, of course, Patricia, the grandmother, and apparently Robert Walters Jr., they would get charged with failing to report child abuse and was only sentenced to serve 30 days in jail. The townspeople, they also hear about this 4-month-old baby that was, brutally killed by, out of all people, her parents who were supposed to protect her. And so they get together, they pay for her funeral and, the burial. Because the family didn't want to chip in and give shit. They didn't even apparently legally claim her after she died. So the townspeople came in and was like, yeah, this angel did not deserve what happened to her, which she didn't. That's our baby now, so we're gonna step in. And like they did with Precious Doe's case, which I've already previously covered, Precious Doe's case, which I'm gonna cover in the future, they chipped in, they said, we're paying for this shit. And the family got pissed, so they proceeded to put a cage around her grave to where they, so y'all can't drop off no flowers, no bears, the stuff they were dropping off of her. Y'all can't do that no more. And luckily the community said, oh, fuck that. They're still doing it to this day. And this was 22 years later. So that's how they was like, this. When they said this is our child, they was not playing. So then in 2005, Governor Bill Richardson, who apparently was a governor of New Mexico at the time, he apparently files a bill in Baby Brianna's name that says, hey, if you commit child abuse and it results in the death of a child, that's an automatic first-degree felony, and you serve at least 30 years. And so Andrew got 63 years, Steve got 57, and Stephanie got 26. In 2006, basically all 3 of them get their convictions overturned, even though it's obvious that they did it. And apparently their defense lawyers will come back and say, hey, all 3 of them had their trial together, therefore they testified against each other, and their right to be cross-examination apparently was violated. And so in 2007, the state of New Mexico said, fuck that, and those original sentences y'all got, yeah, y'all getting them back. So remember that cage that said that they put around Brianna's grave? Well, apparently in 2010, somebody started a petition to get the cage removed. Apparently it got more than 200,000 signatures, and these are from people across the world, but of course mostly in the United States. And then a bench was also apparently put nearby that also the family can't fuck with, because the family, y'all might be family, but we paid for it. And so basically a bench was put up in Brianna's name by the Remember Me Foundation, and people go put flowers there because y'all can't put a cage around this. So yeah. And on May 7, 2010, Robert Walters Jr. had apparently died in a drunk driving accident. So then Stephanie's ass, like I said, she got 26 years, but she gets let out after 13, and she gets released in 2016 for apparently good behavior. And she has to serve 2 years of parole in Plainview, Texas, and after that, she's pretty much free like you and I are. So she's free right now. Anyway, so obviously, the people of Plainview, Texas, they find out about this, and they are pissed. Because again, Texas is right next to New Mexico. They find out, they have a whole ass petition, we don't want her here, she's a child killer, rightfully so. Turns out, she wasn't supposed to be staying in Plainview, she's supposed to be staying outside city limits, and only reporting to her parole officer there. And so during the 2 years that she was even on parole, she obviously had to wear an ankle monitor, to obviously monitor where the hell she's going, pay parole fees, didn't say who those fees go to, but she had to pay some parole fees, and for obvious reasons couldn't have contact with Andrew or Steven. And then she also apparently had to get a job in order to get a job and continue her education. Because it didn't say how far her, whether she graduated high school or not, but apparently they expect her to at least have a job. And also, she also had to deal with random drug tests and home visits to make sure she was staying on track. She was, because you getting parole, your ass is lucky, okay? And then, of course, the cage to this day, unfortunately, the cage still, unfortunately, is up. But, of course, people don't give a shit. They are still visiting and putting flowers and remembering Brianna's name. And there's actually some images where they actually kind of broke apart parts of the cage and even put stuff in the cage, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the case of Baby Brianna. That is all that's well known. This was a well-known case. Let me know if you were alive back in 2002 and you remember this case. I was alive back in 2002, but I literally was 4 months older than Brianna, so obviously I don't remember any of this shit. And so if you were old enough, if you knew any of the defendants, not Brianna. Stephanie, Andrew, Steven, definitely let me know what you think down below. If anybody knows where Brianna's family is at, since they hoe ass didn't want to claim her body, definitely know where they at now. And so with that being said, definitely know your thoughts down below. You have any similar cases, definitely let me know. I cover murder cases 3 times every week. I'm here for you guys every Friday. And that's it for this one. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion. Even though I offer all of the solutions, I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone with you I never feel lucid. I wish I wasn't struck by Cupid. I wish when I first saw you I knew this. When I'm with you I feel so useless, I feel diluted, my heart's been wounded. Silhouettes of you are like a taunt, never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm, I can feel the sweat inside my palm. Play with me like cats and a string, you don't understand the pain it brings.